What's going on, everybody? We decided to do an impromptu Q&A to get everybody to know about the FFT Open, the fact that we're going to have our leagues go live in less than 15 minutes. This is your chance to play against your favorite or least favorite analyst from Fantasy Football Today, along with analysts from other websites. All you have to do is go to the link that's on the screen. If you don't see a link on the screen, it's tinyurl.com/2025FFT. I think that's it. It might be FFT 2025. Thomas will let me know. And then you just follow the instructions. You sign up for one of our leagues. And by signing up, you're actually donating to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. It's an unbelievable cause. You're helping sick kids and their family get through tough times, and you're playing fantasy football. And here's the cool thing about it. It's tinyurl.com/2025FFT. Here's the cool thing about the FFT Open, and I'm going to answer all your questions. Don't worry. I'm answering everything. You're going to play against one person from Fantasy Football Today. If you win your division, you advance to the finals, and you're going to play against people who also won their divisions. It could be people from Fantasy Football Today. It could be people from Fantasy Life. It could be Jake Seeley from The Athletic. It could be someone from Sportsline, one of our sports handicappers. It could be former NFL defensive lineman Lige Duzable. The options are endless on who you will take on in fantasy, but you can be crowned champion of the FFT Open. That's a big deal. Again, it's 24 divisions, just like the Scott Fish Bowl. Each division is its own separate league. Each division has its own separate managers, and every player is available in each division. But then you advance if you can win your division, and that's a big if. If you've ever thought that you could beat me in fantasy football, now's your chance. You follow that link at the bottom of the screen, and you see what it looks like on the website. So you type in the tiny URL. It should go to a page just like this. You find your favorite analyst at 7 o'clock sharp, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can go pick your favorite analyst, sign up for the league, donate to St. Jude Children's Research, and you're on your way to playing in your most important league in 2025. So with the help of Thomas Schaefer, our producer, I'm going to answer the questions that are coming into the chat. Thank you all for being here. I have been on the go all afternoon. I'd love to tell you about it, but I think I'd rather help you with your other fantasy football leagues. And then we'll see where we're at, pretty close to 7 o'clock. Here's the first question. Oh, it's from Cousin Ernest saying hello. Cousin Ernest used to be on our radio show. He would call in every Saturday night on the radio show asking fantasy questions. And he called so much, I just called him my cousin. And I'm looking down at Adam there. His picture is pretty funny. Is Mike Evans going under the radar again? Godwin injury, not looking too good to be 100%. Yeah, the news out of Tampa was pretty notable. And I kind of feel like we were trending toward Chris Godwin not being ready for training camp. We might get the official word as soon as tomorrow, Tuesday, that Chris Godwin goes on the PUP list. Then we don't know when he's going to come off of it. I think he'll be ready for week 1. I think it's going to send Chris Godwin's value into a tailspin. My hunch is that there's going to be one person in every single home league that takes Mike Evans before the end of round 3. I don't like that value. I think Mike Evans is a round 4 pick at best. I prefer to get him in round 5 if I could. Round 4 is okay. Look, he's got an awesome track record, 15-plus PPR points, I feel like every year of his career. And as long as he stays healthy, he could be that good again, even if Godwin's back. I think at this point, it's pretty clear why the Bucs drafted Emeka Egbuka. I keep getting that feeling in my gut that Egbuka is going to matter a lot. And he might be one of those players that I'm just going to take in round 7, whether I need him or not, whether I get a Bucs player or not, just somebody that I'm going to put on every single one of my teams. So, yeah, Evans under the radar. I think if he's going to go between, let's call it 35 and 50 overall, I don't think that's too far under the radar. But if he goes before then, that's a reach. Darklink, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex with the first pick. Am I still taking the running back? I want the best player. I think the best player is going to be Bijan Robinson. Love how the Falcons used him from week 6 on last year. Tons of touches, a lot of games with 20-plus touches. That's what we want from our running backs. Average north of 22 PPR points per game. I have a hard time. I don't have a hard time believing that Jamar Chase can be the best wide receiver in fantasy. I have a hard time believing he can match what he did last year, because last year was an unbelievable year for him. I think his numbers come down just a smidge. I feel a little bit more comfortable taking Bijan. And the other thing that I'll mention, and then I'll answer this next question, is I'm not as comfortable with the depth at running back as I am at wide receiver, tight end, and quarterback. So it's kind of a weird dichotomy, because I also really love the elite tier wide receivers, but I love the elite tier running backs, and Bijan tops that list for me. PPR redraft. This is from Rob. Can you name one each running back and wide receiver you are high on, you are willing to reach on, compared to consensus? This is a good question. I'm going to pull up my rankings. Sometimes when you watch me when I work from home, I actually have my laptop on my lap. And sometimes when I look down like this is how you know that I'm looking at my laptop. I think the wide receiver is going to be Ricky Pearsall. And right now, you're getting a chance to buy him cheap because he's on the PUP list. People are veering toward Juwan Jennings. Jamie Eisenberg, my colleague on Fantasy Football Today, makes a compelling case for Juwan Jennings just because he's the more physical wide receiver. He's obviously healthy. Hopefully he doesn't hold out for too long looking for a new contract with the 49ers. He could be a good volume wide receiver. He averaged around 14 PPR points per game last year. But, man, he had like 3 monster games, 1 good game, and the rest of his games were dud. Now, compared to Pearsall, you'll take it because Pearsall was terrible. He didn't even play the first half of the year. Remember, he got shot. It was a mess. Came back toward the end of the year. I fell in love with Pearsall because of how he plays football. He's a double move specialist. He runs routes like Ladd McConkey. So he's going to have that precision route running working for him in this 49ers offense. He has to be healthy. The hamstring issue is obviously something that's lingering. That bothers me a little bit. But assuming that he's back in training camp sooner than later, that's probably going to be one player that I'm going to be higher than consensus on. I don't think I'm and this is just me running through some names of some wide receivers. I don't think I'm going to be that much higher than consensus on Bucky Irving, but I do like him better than Chase Brown. I do like him better than Jonathan Taylor. I'm kind of down on Kyren Williams. I know you asked for guys that I'm higher than, lower than. I'm going to be lower on Kyren Williams. Looking at my running backs, I don't think I'm going to have anybody that I'm like crazy ahead of consensus on, but I do have some names, of course, in the mid to late rounds. And I'm just going to name names. I'm not going to get into why. I think you can probably figure out what the argument is for why. But running backs that I like, let's call it after round 7. Cam Scatabo, J.K. Dobbins, those two are absolutely going to be at the top of my list. Isaac Guerrero is going to be a third because Christian McCaffrey, we kind of know what the deal is with him. And then even later on, Will Shipley. I hope you guys have had the chance to read my research on history of running backs that have had 400-plus carries over the course of a year, regular season plus postseason. Just happened to Saquon Barkley. Saquon had almost 485 carries, or touches rather, 438 carries. Get the numbers mixed up. He had a lot of work. And I'm very worried about Saquon being as effective as he was last year. That's somebody who I'm kind of down on. Let's get to the next question if we've got one, Thomas. Who's your sneaky tight end this year? You know I love sneaky tight ends. I love finding those guys. And I've got 2. And if you've been following along all offseason, you probably already know the names. Tucker Kraft in Green Bay, who, like, I've been excited about him since January. Awesome efficiency last year. Just didn't get enough volume. I think he's got a chance to be second on the Packers in targets. I'm excited about Tucker Kraft. And everybody and their mom is all about Colston Loveland. And I get it. I watched him play at Michigan. Dude looked like Darren Waller back when Darren Waller was good and not coming off of retirement, cashing a check for $5 million from the Dolphins. I don't think he's going to be in the same spot as Tyler Warren, though. I like Tyler Warren better. And you think of Warren and you go, ew, he's on Indianapolis and their quarterbacks stink and all that stuff. Dude, they got Tyler Warren for a reason. He can win in the middle of the field, and he averaged something like 5 yards after catch last year at Penn State. He also averaged like 5 yards after contact on runs with Penn State. That's right. They gave him the ball as a ball carrier. I think they're going to use that dude as a big moose in the middle of the field and as a red zone weapon. And what did I say about Tucker Kraft? That he would be second on the team in targets in Green Bay? Bold prediction. Tyler Warren leads the Colts in targets and catches and yards and touchdowns. Sorry, Michael Pittman. Sorry, Josh Downs. I think it's going to be Tyler Warren. Could be a bad year for the Colts if that happens, but it could be good for Tyler Warren. Love him as a sneaky tight end. And I'm keeping my eye on Gadsden in LA with the Chargers, Arroyo in Seattle. Those other rookie tight ends, I got to watch Arroyo at the Senior Bowl. Dude dominated every day against Division I all-star talent. So making that jump from Miami to the NFL, hey, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal for Cam Ward. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal for Elijah Arroyo. Next question. This is from TBA. We got to name you TBA if we don't know your name yet. I'm going to call you Saul from Albuquerque. Who are some of your top sleepers for 2025? Anyone you guys haven't mentioned lately? Shipley is definitely going to be on my list. Tank Bigsby is another name that's going to be on my list. Kyle Williams is a receiver. I'm actually going to get to see the Patriots in person. I'm going to their joint practice against the Commanders. Can't wait to see what that offense looks like. Speaking of sleepers, Drake May is one of those sleepers. I said earlier in the chat, I really love the idea of waiting on some of those other positions. I like the depth of a lot of those positions. If I can wait on quarterback, Drake May would be one of the quarterbacks that I would try and target with my late round picks. All right, according to my watch, it is 7:00 Eastern time. That means the FFT Open leagues are open. That sounded kind of, funny because FFT Open and the leagues are open. They're available. Your donations are welcome. We love that you guys are here. We love that you're asking questions. Let's answer some more of them real quick. But please, while you're listening to me, while you're asking your questions, go find a league that you can dominate, except my league, because, you're not going to dominate me. It's the FFT Open, and I'm in it in my division. That belongs to me this year. I'm taking that division. Eduardo, keeper league. Keep Breece Hall for a 5th or Trey McBride for a 6th. Did you say if it was PPR or not? Did you say how long we can keep these guys for? I'm going to lean toward McBride. I would draft McBride before Breece Hall this year. I'm a little nervous about Breece Hall, to be honest with you. Should get plenty of work. There's no question about it, but I don't think he's going to dominate touches. We know that Justin Fields is going to steal something from him in terms of carries, play calls, touchdowns. When they're inside the 5, it used to be slam dunk that Breece Hall would get the ball. Now, Justin Fields could score from there. We could see Braylon Allen score from there. That dude's bigger than Breece. And this is a contract year of sorts for Breece Hall. So, yeah, I'm hoping that he balls out. I'm hoping that he's awesome. I'm hoping that he stays healthy. That Jets offensive line is good. I do have some real questions about how good he could be. So give me Trey McBride in the 6th. From Dustin, Brian Thomas Jr. being drafted too high with Hunter added in the mix, and he was getting most of his big plays with Mac Jones last year. Brian Thomas Jr. has been living rent-free in my head since the NFL draft. And I remember coming on our show saying that there was a pathway where I might rather have Rashee Rice than Brian Thomas Jr. Now, that pathway has a big old stop sign in front of it. No, that's not happening. Give me BTJ. Okay, Rashee Rice is going to get suspended. It looks like we're headed in that direction. At least he's healthy. Rashee Rice is healthy. But, yeah, there's the thing that I'm worried about with Brian Thomas Jr., the way that he ended last year, double-digit targets in every game with Mac Jones. There were some things that he did in that game that I think he can still do in that Jacksonville offense. His ADOT came down. So he wasn't necessarily running 10 yards downfield, wasn't dominating with speed, at least before the catch. Definitely did at times after the catch. I think he's still going to be the target leader for Jacksonville. That should be good enough for fantasy managers to dig into Brian Thomas Jr. Would I take him as a first-round pick? I would have if the Jaguars hadn't have drafted Travis Hunter, or I would have if the Jaguars drafted Travis Hunter and then said, Travis Hunter is going to play cornerback for us. But it looks like Travis Hunter is going to play wide receiver. And Hunter is definitely going to command targets. We're talking, let's set a floor of 7 per game. He's that good. And he's much more of a short area target who can make things happen and break tackles than I think BTJ can. They both can. Look, they both can. I shouldn't say that he's more of it. They both can. It should be an awesome receiving core. It makes me want to draft Trevor Lawrence. Would I be happy if I had Trevor Lawrence and Drake May on the same fantasy team? I'd probably go with it if it meant getting good players at other positions. Brian Thomas Jr., round 2 pick, no questions asked. Should he be like 13th? You can make the case. I mean, he's really good. He's just as explosive and bombastic as Malik Neighbors. Let's see another question if we got one, Thomas. Who's this year's Chuba Hubbard? Okay, so now we're talking about a running back that kind of comes out of nowhere, not necessarily a rookie, and could end up being a big time factor in fantasy. Jaylen Warren was the first name that came to mind, but I did some research on him today. I don't know if he's going to get an opportunity to do short yardage work. I think answering Bucky Irving is a cop out. An unproven running back. Would you guys be shocked if Jordan Mason was that guy? Think about that one for a second. Okay. We know that Aaron Jones is older. When he's healthy, he's great. We saw it last year, but he was splitting reps last year with worse running backs than Jordan Mason. I wonder if Jordan Mason could be that guy. And I remember opining this offseason how he could move up to round 7. Okay, that was an exaggeration. But round 9, for a guy who could easily overtake Aaron Jones and be the 1A and Aaron Jones is the 1B, I think he could do that. I think also, if things don't work out the way we thought they would for RJ Harvey, I think J.K. Dobbins could be that guy. I think Dobbins was added to Denver to be their passing downs back and to work on some running downs. But if RJ Harvey isn't what the Broncos thought that he was or is or will be, then J.K. Dobbins is going to have a chance. And week to week, that's a number 2 running back for your fantasy team. So those are 2 guys. Maybe you go to Canton, Ohio to do a draft, Rob, and then you can go and you could get J.K. Dobbins on your team. Do we have any other questions? We do, from Jordan. Half point PPR, half point for first down in Dynasty Superflex. Hampton and Tet on the board. Which one are you taking? I am taking Omarion Hampton over Tetaroa McMillan. I can't resist. I can't resist the 3-down super talent at running back in a Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman joint doing his thing. McMillan might pay off a little bit sooner in their rookie years, but then again, we got Najee Harris sidelined. To me, it's Hampton. Hampton is the only Ashton Genty's my 101 in Superflex Dynasty. It doesn't matter. When you get to 102, you've got to decide between Hunter, Hampton, or Cam Ward. And if you're taking Ward, man, you better be desperate at quarterback. Because if you're not, you're making a mistake by taking Cam Ward. I love Cam Ward. He's not worth the 102 even in Superflex. I think Hunter is probably going to be my pick over Hampton, but it's close. And if you need the running back, I would lean that way. But if it's McMillan versus Hampton, to me, that's easy. I'm taking Omarion Hampton. We had a good conversation about McMillan on our main show, Fantasy Football Day. You can find it on YouTube. You can watch it as soon as we're done here, and we will be done here just in a few minutes. Let's answer a couple more questions. I'll try and go rapid fire, and then let's get a look at our FFT Open leagues and see which leagues are still available for everybody out there. This is from Rad Ad, 1 QB, half PPR keeper. Keep 3 with cost being last year's ADP. So Jamar Chase, round 1. Neighbors, round 5. That's a keeper. Chase Brown, round 8. That's a keeper. BTJ, round 9. That's a keeper. Are you crazy if you drop Chase? No. In this instance, you are not, because you're getting a round 1 player in Malik Neighbors. You're getting a round 2 player. We already talked about that in Brian Thomas Jr. And Chase Brown, yeah, Chase Brown might be a round 3 player, but you're getting him in round 8. To me, I'm taking all that value, and you're still going to have a first-round pick. Even if you don't get Jamar Chase, you're going to get somebody really good to go with those 3 receivers. Nice job by you, Rad Ad. Next question, if we got one, Thomas. Jets fan 123, Dynasty League, where I'm rebuilding. Offered Breece Hall in exchange for Ridley and Jacobs. Would you make that trade? No. I would try and get draft picks for those guys later on down the line. To me, I'd rather have Jacobs than Hall. And that's more redraft-ish than it is Dynasty. You might be able to say we can get a few more years out of Breece Hall, but I'm honestly not sure he's going to be a stellar running back like we saw from him once upon a time. I don't know if it's there. Jacobs, to me, is the better running back for this year. You got Ridley on top of it. You might trade those guys later, get a first-round pick for them. I might rather have that than Breece Hall at this point, my opinion. From Henry, who loves Schultz. Is that Dalton Schultz you love? He would not be one of my late-round tight ends. Thoughts on the more valuable piece of the Jags backfield? I've looked into this as well. I'm drafting ETN first, but I love the value, the irresistible value of Tank Bigsby. He's basically free at the end of your draft. He was the more efficient running back last year. If ETN can't get his act together, this new coaching staff, they've got no reason to play him. Bigsby is the one that they could go with. I think Tootin's got an uphill climb to take that job away from one or both of them. I would assume we'll begin the year with Bigsby and ETN as the 2 running backs in that offense. And I mean, we've seen it from Liam Cohn at Tampa Bay. He will start the year with multiple backs and then veer toward the one who's playing better. There's a non-zero chance that it's Bigsby over ETN. This is another team I'm going to get a look at during the preseason in practice. They practice against the Dolphins. Can't wait to see how those running backs look. But I think Bigsby is the one who's a little bit more fun, and certainly the one you can get later. How early would you take Jamar Chase in Superflex? I'm going to take the quarterbacks first, and by quarterbacks I mean the first three. That would be for me, Allen, Jackson, Daniels. Would I take Burrow ahead of Chase in Superflex? Yeah, I think I would. And then I'm taking Bijan. Then I'm taking Chase. I will Chase versus Hurts. Oh, you're giving me something to think about, Rob. Yeah, I'll probably take Hurts, then Chase. I might take Hurts over Bijan too. What the hell? All those quarterbacks, get them out of the way. They're elite for a reason, right? Got to get them on the team. Next question. Picking 10th in a 12-team PPR league, 6 point per passing touchdown. Am I crazy to take Josh Allen 15th overall? Yes. Our ADP actually started to show that Josh Allen was sliding in drafts. If you go to CBS Sports Fantasy ADP, and you could literally Google CBS Sports Fantasy ADP, the words I just said out of my mouth, Google them. Our ADP will come up. You will see that Josh Allen is going in round 3. I don't think he deserves to go. I don't think he deserves to be the second quarterback off the board. I think round 3 is when you should target a quarterback if you're going to get one early. 15 is too soon. You're giving up on a player at running back or wide receiver, and you will probably find a quarterback nearly as good as Allen when you're up in round 3. Could be Daniels. I don't see why you'd be squeamish about him. I doubt it'll be Lamar Jackson. I think he'll be picked before then, but I think he'll be all right. All right, one more question, and then I've got an update on the FFT Open that I don't know if you're going to like or not, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway. Last question's from Austin. Good to hear from you, Austin. Travis Hunter or George Pickens, often in the same range. I have to pick one. Slam dunk for Hunter for me. More upside. George Pickens. I'm losing my voice. This is crazy. Pickens is going to be okay. Travis Hunter has more upside. Give me the rookie. Okay. I have learned from Thomas Schaefer that our FFT Open leagues with the FFT crew have sold out already. It is 7-11. We're talking about the leagues with me, Jamie, Heath, even Azer. Sold out. Amazing. When you think about each spot going for $250, that's amazing. All that money. None of it's coming to me. All of it's going to St. Jude. Awesome job, everybody. If you still want to play in the FFT Open, go to the page right now, tinyurl.com/2025FFT. All you have to do is go there, find a league, find an analyst you want to beat, give your donation to St. Jude, you're on your way. I'll see you in the FFT Open. I appreciate you guys coming along for this very short Q&A. We should do this again. Maybe next time with a cough drop. Let's do it tomorrow. I'll see you right here on YouTube for another FFT chat. Me and you and me, we'll get it done. Thanks for watching.